Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Wrestling Talks and Thoughts. I'm your host, Saheem the Dream, coming to you guys live as always, so we can talk about some wrestling, talk about our weekly topics, and just kind of get into some things real quick. So it's going to be a nice little show before you guys. Going to go into some topics real quick. Well, not real quick, but just kind of talk about what's been going on in news and rumors, of course, all the good stuff that's been going on for the most part. And I got a cat who likes to jump on the table and rub his fur all over stuff. So getting on my damn mic. Damn cat. All right. Yeah, so if you guys are joining me on this live, please make sure you give me a thumbs up, drop a like, drop a comment in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys, so we could talk wrestling. Why my hat look crooked? Join me in the conversation so we could talk some wrestling topics, and kind of just talk about what's going on in the wrestling world. I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions about what's happening. So was watching SmackDown tonight. Looks like they're giving LA Knight the push. The fans are going crazy. It felt like a little it felt a little fiery tonight. LA Knight was getting that old super chair and super taunt. Everybody was loving LA Knight, of course. And I'm just curious as to know how far they're going to push LA Knight. It looks like LA Knight may be that guy that's primed to take the titles away from Roman Reigns. I hate to say it, but that's what it's looking like, because of course, in order for them, how the game usually goes is like whenever they have a main guy that's set up in position, usually if they can find another guy who is just as over as the main guy or more so over, then they usually put those titles on that person, or they just kind of keep pushing them to see how far their buzz goes. And then I mean, like, aside from their their initial interaction, what they do is, they allow them to go and fight different matches with other performers, and then they just kind of like see if, all right, if we can put the company on the back of this guy, we can really cheer this guy on to be the champion that can carry the company to the next level, or give us a good run for a good decade. So right now what it looks like is that LA Knight is this guy who has this rocket strapped to his back, not really so much by WWE, but so much by the fans. The fans are really feeling this guy. They're really digging him. Me, not so much. He's more like a stone cold rock Austin character. I can't you know what I'm saying? I'm a little I'm a guy who was always raised on originality. So, it's gonna be hard to win me over as far as being a fan of LA Knight. Not because I have anything against him. I think he has earned everything that he has right now before him as far as being a great performer. But when I look at iconic stars, I look at Shawn Michaels, I look at Bret Hart, I look at Brock Lesnar, I look at Goldberg, I look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, I look at Triple H, I look at Ric Flair, I look at all those guys, and I say, what makes them so distinguishable amongst all other performers is the fact that they're distinguishable amongst all different performers. And that is what you want to be. You want to be the guy that you're placed in the crowd, and from a distance, people can point you out and know that that's you. And LA Knight, again, his character doesn't have that for me. He's a Austin, he's a Rock. He's the guy that's pretty much filling that void in the hearts of fans who miss Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mr. Rock. Honestly, that was a big void that was left in our hearts, and it needed to be fulfilled. The Big Bad Booty Daddy is joining me live. Thank you, sir. Is there the Big Bad Booty Daddy is on? But yeah, again, one of the things that made Austin, made The Rock, and again, that's what makes them distinguishable, right? You look at Austin, you look at The Rock, and what I'm talking about, guys, right now is talking about LA Knight as a character, his push, how far he goes. I was watching, SmackDown tonight. You guys were seeing that. They were, they're just setting up this feud with Roman Reigns and LA Knight, for the next I think it's for their show in Saudi Arabia. So what makes all these iconic heavyweight champions distinguishable is just their originality. Is that the fact that they were able to pull out something unique within their own personality, magnify that, and then give it to us as an audience. LOB Kendall says, did you send out invites? No, I did not send out invites because no one said they wanted to go live. And then when you talk about Trav, I sent out, when I do send out invites, you don't never come on the show. What are you talking about? I mean, not never, but you're like a unicorn, either I see you or I don't, like, I might see you a year from now, and then I might see you tomorrow. I don't know, whenever you pop up. So I mean, but if you want to come on, you can come on. If that's what you're asking, you want to come on, you can come on. But yeah, LA Knight, getting into LA Knight. My thing with LA Knight is this. Again, is his character is not distinguishable, right? So he has to be. To me, when I look at a person who is going to be that guy who is the next big thing, I don't see LA Knight as far in my heart. Will he be the next big thing? He can be, right? They can push him. They can make him the next big thing. They can. You know what I'm saying? Is it possible for him? Yes. I'm saying it's possible. Realistically, yes. In my heart, for me, he'll always be like the great value version of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin or a Rock. He'll always be a great value version. He'll always be second fiddle to the people who, fathered his flow, fathered his style. They fathered you, son. They sunned you. So and that's the thing. Like when I look at when I look at The Rock, right? I look at inspirations that Rock could have drawn. I look at inspirations that Rock could have drawn his style from. I look at Hulk Hogan. I look at Ric Flair. Ric Flair for the style, for the, $500, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 watches, Rolex watches. You know what I'm saying? I look at, Rock for the $500 shirts and, silk shirts and all this other stuff. That, to me, I think Flair, right? That's how Flair used to boast, what he used to talk about his style. When I look at charisma, as far as him being able to be a storyteller and promos and, add some humor and add that charisma. So when I look at The Rock, I think of these superstars that could have potentially influenced him, right? As far as character, but I don't hear Hogan, I don't hear Flair. I see stars who could have influenced him, right? When I look at Shawn Michaels, I look at Ric Flair, he could have influenced him. It's kind of hard to pinpoint certain people that influenced Shawn, but the only person I can really think about is Ric Flair potentially. But Shawn said Tully Blanchard was the guy that was his influence. And then there was some other people he mentioned, right? But the main guy was Tully Blanchard that Shawn Michaels mentioned, right? When I look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, the person I think about, and it took me a while to really come to mind, like the person I think about is I think about Rowdy Piper. Trav says send an invite. I'm gonna send an invite in a few minutes. I think about what is his name? Rowdy Piper. I think about Rowdy Piper. Rowdy Piper is the person that comes to mind that I think about being the person who could be a potential influence on Stone Cold Steve Austin. If anybody ever seen Rowdy Piper, if you look at Piper's work and you look at Austin's early work, you'll see it. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But when I look at LA Knight, I just look at a person who just said, I'm going to copy the cadence and I'm just going to copy the whole demeanor. And like literally, like that's exactly what I see. I don't see, a bit of reality. A bit of originality in LA Knight. I don't see anything original about his character other than his in-ring attire, which still is not kind of original because he comes out with a vest on, which is similar to Austin. We can say like like there are other wrestlers that came out with vest on, in the early 70s, in the early 80s, before Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yes, that's true, but when you look at just how his cadence and how he talks, how he carries his character, and then he has the vest on, you immediately think about Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah. So that's my thing, right? Okay. So but yeah. That's the thing, man, I feel like Stone Cold Steve Austin is is someone that I am expecting to potentially vocalize his concerns about LA Knight. I heard that Rock made some comments. Didn't see any. You would think that at this point that The Rock would have done a segment with him because they were actually on the same show together at the point, but they didn't actually they didn't cross paths. It was actually Austin Theory that crossed paths with The Rock, and I think was actually a better choice to cross paths with The Rock than it would be LA Knight, because if The Rock and LA Knight would have gotten a ring together, then you guys would have definitely seen the complete comparison of the two.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
What's good? What's good, sir?
What's good, man? Are you sleeping?
No, man. No, man. I'm driving. I'm driving.
Oh, okay. I'm just sleeping.
No, 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 no. But you know what? I agree with you on the LA Knight. That's what I've been telling people. Like, when you look
Mhm,
at LA Knight, don't get me
mhm.
wrong, he's did a tremendous job by taking The Rock and Stone Cold and a different amount of characters and putting them together as one, and people fell in love with it. But there is nothing original about him. Like you
Nothing.
said, even the vest part, like you said, you look at Stone Cold came out with the vest, the walk, it's a little bit of D'Lo Brown without the arm and the body movement, but it's got the Rock kind of swag to it, and it's just
Right.
not it's nothing original about him, but people love it because I guess you're getting to see a variety of characters in one that we probably won't see again. And I think that's what people fell in love with is the fact that I can turn on and watch LA Knight and get somewhat of Stone Cold. I can turn on and watch
Right.
LA Knight and get somewhat of The Rock. And that's what I think people fell in love with.
Mm-hmm. 100%. That's what I think. I feel
Cause
like.
go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. What you gonna say?
I, I was just gonna say because I don't care for LA Knight. I think he's a great in ring performer, but
Mhm.
as far as the whole personality and swag, it's not cutting it for me.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, I'll enjoy him as he performs, he wrestles. It is what it is. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the sad part to me about LA Knight's character in my heart is two things. One thing is that uh if so be that he is the guy that's chosen to beat Roman for the titles, it will suck because the person who I really feel, I believe, deserves that spot is Cody, right? The other thing is that the sad part to me personally as a fan of wrestling is that when he holds the titles, I'll be looking at him like how I look at Seth Rollins. Like, um, I'm not going to really care for it. And I'm just going to be more excited about who's the person that takes the belt off of him. If they decide to go with him being the person that, you know, beats
I
Roman.
he's going to dethrone Roman. I think they don't have no one else right now to put in that position to face Roman.
What
If you
about
look at
Cody?
all, I mean, Cody is on Raw right now. He just lost the tag team titles, and he's feuding with the Judgment Day. So
That
I
frees
don't
him up.
think it's, huh?
That frees him up.
But yeah, true. But still, he said last Monday he said he had unfinished business. Remember?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't feel like Cody is right now. I feel like Cody is a WrestleMania SummerSlam type person. But if you look at that SmackDown roster with
Hmm.
Jay being out the picture, there's no one left.
Hmm.
That's why LA Knight is getting the title shot.
Yeah. I mean, well, we know he's getting the title shot, but I don't think he's going to win the belts at all.
Right,
He's not
that's what I'm
winning.
saying. But that's
Mhm.
what I'm saying. Think about it. Think about SmackDown roster. Who can you name on SmackDown roster that deserves the title shot right now that is already over? There's nobody out there
There's nobody
that
else. No,
hasn't
there's
already
nobody else.
been beat.
Yeah.
So that's why he's getting that's why he's getting the spotlight because there's nobody left. It's just him. And once Roman beats him next Saturday, then they're going to. I think they're going to turn the page to John Cena one more time. He's going to
Yeah.
take out Solo, and they're going to turn the page to John Cena, and then we're going to see the Cody and Roman feud rebirth again.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
I mean, we seen. I think it was like maybe 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where
when he
Cody and
acknowledged it.
Roman, yeah, and they met face to face, and it's like, all right, it's like they kind of just planted that seed right there, like, it. I believe it's like unfinished business. I believe that's the unfinished business that Cody is really talking about because we still have Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble to visit, whereas two competitors will get an opportunity to go after either the world's title, or the undisputed title.
Yeah, but I think Royal Rumble is going to be more so somebody to face Seth Rollins. I don't see them. There's nobody else I think left that we can put against Roman where we're going to be excited to see.
The
Uh,
only the only person I'm excited to see face against Roman is Cody. Truth be told, hands down, there's only two. Honestly, there's only no. I'm sorry. There's three people. There's only three people I'll put in that place that I'll be excited to see face against Roman. That's
all right, we
Gunther.
got Cody. Okay, Gunther.
Right. I'm sorry, Cody. Yeah, we go with Cody,
Uh,
Gunther, and Jay.
yeah, okay, so you're not going to see Jay at all right now. Not right
Right.
now, at least.
Right.
Gunther is a possibility, but I'm gonna switch out Jay with somebody that I would love to see after
Who?
this 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 situation is built up the right way. It look like it's going in the right direction, but it look like they're
I
gonna
think
drag it on a little longer.
I know who
I'm
you're talking.
I
I
want to
think I
see
know who you're gonna say.
I want to see Bobby Lashley and
Bobby
that group.
Lashley.
I want to
So
see Bobby Lashley and that group, and they hold the goal like the Judgment Day is doing.
So I heard. So there was a rumor, actually. There's a rumor that after LA Night, it's supposed to be Bobby and Roman. That's the rumor.
Which would be good. Which would
Yeah,
be good because at that time you got fraction against fraction. You got Solo and Jimmy versus the Street Profits, and you got Roman versus Lashley. And in all honesty, if you take the next few months to build Bobby Lashley and them up the proper way,
yeah.
I could see Lashley dethroning Roman. I can
I just,
see it.
yeah, I can see that. It's believable.
Only only if you build him all right, he wins the Royal Rumble. He got to win the Royal Rumble. First of all, let's be clear. He has to win the Royal Rumble, and he has to go in there. And he got to beat some big names. If he go
Yeah.
in there and beat Gunther for a non-title shot,
Mhm.
he go in there and he take out, let's just say Drew McIntyre maybe.
Mhm.
Uh, he just need a couple wins. He don't need a lot of wins because we know what Bobby Lashley is capable of. He just
Right.
need a couple of wins to put himself in that picture. But the biggest win of them all is that he go in and win the Royal Rumble, whether it's with the Street Profits or without the Street Profits. He
Yeah.
wins Royal Rumble, and then you can sell it to that he beats Roman, or you can keep Cody in place. But the last I heard, Cody is solidified and that is locked in for WrestleMania. So if something, unless something majorly changes, it's Cody versus Roman. Who wins? Who knows?
Yeah, the only thing that could ever change Cody and Roman is The Rock. That will be the thing that changes everything. Like if The Rock shows up,
But
that'll
now,
be the
how does that play out? Though, how does that play out?
yeah.
Does he take Solo them with him?
Yeah. Honestly speaking, I think that if see, but this is the thing though. I I can convincingly see Bobby Lashley beating Roman Reigns for the title. Convincingly. I can believe it, right? But the other thing about it is if they build Bobby Lashley up to fight Roman, I don't think they would want Bobby to go over on Roman because of because of that. Because looking at how Triple H is doing things, and again, Triple H is the head of creative, and truth be told, I just want to throw this out there. I believe that Triple H believes more in African American champions than Vince McMahon. Just want to throw that out there. And definitely how he ran NXT, you could definitely see that. It's just that because when you look at NXT and how they ran NXT and how Triple H ran NXT, everything made sense. From people losing titles to people winning titles, when he was everything made sense and in story and in detail. And when something was random, the randomness of a story usually was explained down the line when they faced off other competitors. Bobby Lashley being placed in the title picture to be that guy that goes over and beats Roman. And I feel like in Triple H's mind of creativity, he'll be like, no, I can't. Like he wouldn't. I feel like it would go against his own personal better judgment to allow that to happen. Even
Yeah.
though I can believe Bobby doing it, I don't think Triple H would be like, you know what, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for me, and it wouldn't work for the fans, and it wouldn't work in the story. Because what makes this moment so good about what makes it so good, when Cody beats Roman, right? When Cody beats Roman, what
Right.
makes it so good is that it's a storyline that you can go back and rewatch. One thing that made the feud between Triple H and The Rock so good was the fact that you can go back and watch the story unfold. Same thing with Austin and The Rock. You can go back and watch the story unfold. Same thing with Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle. Just going back and watching how the feuds unfold on TV and then leading up to the pivotal moments at pay-per-views where somebody lost the title. It was just the title, watching the titles change hands. That's what made the story or made the characters, made everything make sense and made it more appealing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think with the right build up, whether it's Cody or Lashley, it's going to be fine. But honestly, Cody got the upper hand because he's still trying to finish telling the story. And I don't think him beating Seth Rollins for that title is going to finish the story because he got three wins over Seth when he first came with no problems.
Right.
And then I think the perfect time would have been for him to win the title was after he beat Brock Lesnar for that second time out of two out of three, because at that time everything was pointing to Cody to take the throne.
Yeah.
But then, like Triple H said, Roman is on a different level. It's hard to take the title from somebody that just keeps outdoing himself every single time he steps on a pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to just take that title from Roman and say, okay, I'm going to dethrone you and I'm going to give it to Cody. I'm going to dethrone you and I'm going to give it to Lashley. And I think that's what the front office is looking at. It's like, yo, it's so hard right now to take that title away because of everything that's going on with Roman. Even without main event Jey Uso, he's still selling.
Mm-hmm.
He's still the number one guy. People still tuning in to SmackDown to see Roman.
Yeah.
It hasn't been a week in over 3 years that people haven't tuned in to SmackDown just to see Roman, other than
Right.
when we knew he was going to be out.
But
So
see,
with Cody and Bobby though, I think a
mhm.
3-way match would be nice for a Royal Rumble,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and and then turn around and one of them get the what you call it?
One-on-one
What?
match.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, Cody get the 1-on-1 match at WrestleMania because he can because honestly Roman can beat both of them, but just pin Bobby.
yeah.
And Cody could be like, you've only beat me with help. You've never beat me 1-on-1, you know, like that. So it's a couple ways. But right now, Bobby Lashley and Cody are the only two in my mind that make sense. Only reason why I say Gunther doesn't make sense for me right now
Mm,
is because of the fact that he has to lose that, what is it, the US or the IC?
I see.
He has to lose that IC title to somebody. He gotta lose that first, and then
But why?
he
But
gotta
why?
get
But why does he have to lose it though? Why can't?
because
Why
nobody
can't he have both?
because nobody else in the group is going to have a belt, and it doesn't look right with just the main guy with the IC and the undisputed.
Shawn Michaels
Those
did it.
he did, but look who he did it with though.
He did with Triple H. He had the
And,
European and the heavyweight championship
and Triple H and who else? I don't remember
in
that.
China. So
Okay,
he won the
but
European
look at
title off of British Bulldog, and then
but
he
look at the
won
names
the
behind him
world
though,
title.
and look at the names. Look at the names behind him, and look at the names behind Gunther. The
Yeah,
names were different. It was more
yeah,
impact behind Shawn Michaels. There's no
right.
impact behind Gunther. So it's going
But,
to look good
but,
for a minute, but when you see those other two not in no title pictures and not doing nothing to get in the title picture, it doesn't look great.
you had a visit to Travis. uh, was it
Leave that man in the comments section, man.
the big
I'm having a one on one with Sai.
Travis talking crazy again? He said this guy. Nah, Travis making some interesting points, but it's interesting points. But listen, I, I, I I mean, but Gunther is the impact, right? I mean,
Right?
Gunther is the impact. It can be done. Like it has been done twice. Like um with the Undertaker, I'm sorry, with Ultimate Warrior and with Sean. Sean had the European title. He went and won the world title off of Brett.
Okay.
Ultimate Warrior had the Intercontinental title. It was it was a winner take all match against Hogan. He won the world title. He won the world's title, and then he relinquished the Intercontinental title. And who else? Seth Rollins did it. Seth Rollins was world heavyweight champion. He beat John Cena for United States Championship. So I mean,
With the shield behind him, right?
no. He was with the Authority.
Okay, so the authority was different. I knew it was one of them with the shield or the authority, but I'm just saying the authority was different. That was a different scenario. You got the whole front office behind you. You gotta win. But what I'm saying is, like for Gunther, his name is so big. I
Yeah.
don't think he has to carry two titles. Like I see him carrying two titles would be pointless. For me, it would be pointless
But
if he got the world.
why? Okay. So let's dig into this. Okay, why would it be pointless when? Because think about it, right? Gunther is being Gunther is Gunther is like one of the first legitimate heels we've had in a long time. That is just he's
Okay,
beating people. He's beating people in the ring, whether they're heels or whether they're face. He just beat. He didn't just beat, but he beat. I think the last match he had was against Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is a heel. He
mm,
beat him
right.
legitimately, like no interference and nothing. He's beating guys with no. He beat Chad Gable with no interference. He's beating these guys clean, and that's what
Okay,
I
so
like so much character.
let me make it clear. Let me make it clear. He can have the IC title, but his two on the side of him needs a title as well.
Okay,
They all need to have because we've gotten to an era where fractions with Triple H are holding all the titles, right? We've seen it with the Bloodline. We're seeing it with Judgment Day. So for
right.
Gunther to go win the undisputed title or the world heavyweight title, which I think it should be the world heavyweight title, not the undisputed title,
Mhm.
I goons behind him need to have the tag team titles, and that way that fraction is carrying a multitude of the gold. The only thing left out there is the U.S. title, pretty much,
Right. Right.
and the women's title, which it doesn't matter. So for me, I'm not saying it'll be. I feel like it'll be pointless for him alone to have two titles, and the two guys behind him is just standing. Like you said, he's winning multitude of matches by himself, no
Mhm.
interference, no help. So you're telling me, oh well, I'm going to leave him out on the island with two titles by himself?
Yeah.
Because you got to understand something. The money in the bank contract is still going to be out there.
Right.
And you got to think about it. If somebody was smart enough, if he in the middle of an IC title shot and he get brutally beat up and out of whack, and they decide to take out his two goons in the back, hey, it's
Mhm.
free reign. I'm not saying that they're gonna win, but they got the open floor to do what they want with Gunther and possibly win the title.
Right.
So it's open. It's to me. I think he got to bring his team up as well. His team got to come up because those guys can wrestle. Those guys can put on the show. So we know Gunther is the leader. We know he's the heavy hitter. He's the leader. He's the guy that's gonna win all the gold. But those two guys behind him got to win some gold at one point in their career with WWE, and stand behind him with gold. In
I
my
think
opinion,
no, I agree with you. I agree with you because it would legitimize the group. Um, it would legitimize the group. And again, I personally think that if it comes to that point to whereas Gunther wins a world title, I think eventually, Ludwig and Kaiser, I'm sorry, Ludwig and Da Vinci are going to win the tag titles because it looks like because I agree with you. With Triple H with factions, he does give factions belts. And I'll tell you the reason why, and I agree with that 100%. The reason why I agree with that is because of this. It's a simple fact is that's the point of the faction because the point of the faction is that you have more manpower behind you to have more support at ringside so that it can ensure you victory. And it's like one thing I hated about the Attitude Era was that you had some you had factions, and these factions would win gold, but some of these gold wouldn't be like top tier gold. Like you had what's the group? You had a right to censor. Like the biggest title they won was the Intercontinental title, right? Which is like cool, but they didn't even hold it long. And that was with Val Venus, and then they won, and then whatchamacallit, what's the girl name? Uh she's I forgot her name, but the woman who was a part of the group, she wound up winning the women's title. And it was like, all right, then they had the hardcore title. And it was like, all right, cool. But it was like nobody's gonna win a world title, which doesn't really kind of put them on that mountain of like factions. So you could tell they weren't really taken seriously. They were just a bunch of ragtag wrestlers or jobbers that were just grouped together just to kind of like, fill up a slot on a card, right? Then you
right?
had X Factor, again, like they had so much potential where they could have put, they could have tried to put some kind of bigger goals on either Just Incredible or X Pac, push them, or even whatchamacallit. But they just wanted to put them together and group them together as a group to kind of like fill that space. Then you had Nation of Domination. Like the biggest title they won was the IC title. And I felt like that was complete robbery, not necessarily for The Rock.
Disrespectful,
It was disrespectful.
disrespectful.
And not necessarily for The Rock, because I felt like the world title on The Rock in the Nation of Domination would have been cool, but not really. I think that positioning of having the world title should have went to Ron Simmons because Ron Simmons was a legitimate great wrestler. He was great on the mic. He was great in the ring, and he was a former WCW World Champion. He was the first African American WCW World Champion, and they didn't even take the chance on him. Like Vince didn't take the chance on him. So, but one thing about factions with Triple H is that he shows how factions make sense. He's like, I'm not going to group you guys together, and you guys are not going to win anything. I'm not going to group you guys together, and you guys are not going to get anything out of this. Like the point of you guys being together is so that you have more manpower, so that you can at least accomplish a goal, and that goal is getting some level of gold. And he's done that well. And it made sense to people that have been placed together.
Right.
Um,
But I think too, with that being said, I think Gunther and them is next in line as a fraction. You had the bloodline run the show for a while. Now you got Judgment Day. And I think between Gunther and them and Bobby Lashley and them, those are the two next fractions to really step up to the plate and make an impact. And I would really love to see Gunther and them do it, but I don't think it would make sense until I would really love to see two fractions do it at one time. But it really wouldn't make sense until they split the tag team titles again. And speaking of
right,
titles, you
right,
brought
right.
up one that's been on
Yeah,
my mind.
it should split. It
I'm
should.
waiting on them to bring the hardcore title back. I
Well,
just don't
real
know if
quick.
they still have that in their clause where they can't do all the blood and all that extra stuff because, as we both know, next year, 2024, SmackDown is also moving to USA. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what the clause is. I know Vince took that. I know Vince took that out with that TV deal he did before SmackDown
Hmm.
or somewhere in between there. He took that deal out. But that's a title. But even if they brought that back, it's
Yeah.
only one person that can hold that title right now, and that's Gunther. There's nobody else really like hardcore left outside. I mean,
You heard
last
rumors about the title being brought back?
no, I'm saying I wish they would bring it back.
Why? Me personally, I feel like they should create a television title for WWE.
Yeah, I don't want to see no AEW creations.
A television title. AEW doesn't have a television title.
Yes, they do. They got the TNT title.
That's considered. I mean, I guess it is considered a television.
National, yeah,
Yeah,
TNT.
right. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. Right. Yeah, it is. The TNT.
Okay.
Yes, but
Yeah,
to me, I always seen it as the equivalent of like their IC or United States title.
I feel like they should bring back a 205 title, or something like that. A title like that,
For
something that,
cruiserweight.
yeah, like cruiserweight, or because you're getting a lot of cruiserweights in the door now. You got a lot of cruiserweights. I was just looking at Dragon Lee, and that's my first time really getting to see him wrestle. And Cedric Alexander seemed like he done built himself back up again. I thought that was a great match tonight, and I'm like, yo, the cruiserweight title is a
Mm,
title that you can bring back, and you still got Butch that's eventually gonna go back to his normal self as Pete Dunne. You got a lot of cruiserweights that's not getting the recognition they deserve, So I feel like that's the title they can bring back. Heck, even the two behind Gunther and them could probably be in the cruiserweight division. At least the short one. It's a lot of cruiserweights out there. So that's the title. But I don't know if they're gonna bring back any titles right now because I do know Triple H is working on refurbishing all the titles. Like so,
So so the rumor I heard, speaking of refurbishing titles, so the rumor that's going around or what's been reported is that Triple H has actually created uh two tag titles for the Raw and the SmackDown brand. The Judgment Day has taken pictures with those two titles, and they're supposed to be introducing those two titles soon.
well, that may be true, but I think once those titles are introduced to Judgment, they will lose one of them. I think it's time because now it's time. I think honestly, I'm really ready to go back to the old era where both where the wrestlers showed up on both shows. It wasn't. I'm going to SmackDown. You going to Raw. You going to SmackDown. I'm going to Raw. I'm ready for them to start going back to their original brands, like to both brands. But I
Mm-hmm.
would still love for them to keep that brand name behind them. So we know Roman is set to SmackDown. He's still on SmackDown, but every at least once or twice a month he go to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a different feel. Give people a different excitement because the only time we're seeing them cross paths is at certain times throughout the year and pay per views. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now some nights you're scuffling to put good matches together because of that situation.
Yeah. Well, thing is that I mean I agree. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think I really like the two brands being separated. Not in a this is how I would do it. I would separate the brands, only making the champions exclusive to
Their
the brand.
brand. I
Only the
like that.
champion.
That's fine. That's
But
fine. That's what, and
but
that's
the other wrestlers can jump around. I would do that.
and that I agree with that. But it gives you a little bit more wiggle room to move stuff around. Like even though because you got to look at it, they just moved KO to SmackDown. With that being said, what you just said, it'll give KO a chance to go back to Raw and tag up with Sammy again.
Yeah,
But right now, the only time we'll see that is if it's a pay per view or some type of match thrown together just because they need a tag team.
yeah,
Just like we've
yeah.
seen Cody and Jay threw together just because they wanted to make a tag team,
Right,
just to
right, right, right.
dethrone the Judgment Day for a week. Why? I don't know, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it would definitely cause for a better mix-up and present a little bit more opportunities. Even thinking about the idea of, I think if they did add, because you have so on Raw you have the tag titles, you have the World Heavyweight Championship, you have the Women's World Championship title, and you have the Intercontinental title. So those are 4 titles you have on Raw. Then on SmackDown, you have the Women's Undisputed Championship. You have the Undisputed Champion, which is Roman Reigns, and you have the United States Championship, which is 3 titles on SmackDown. So Raw is 3 hours, SmackDown is 2. I feel like if they decided to add an extra title, they would have to extend SmackDown a little bit more. Reason being is because um at least at least once a week on each show, you should at least have 2 of those champions defending their titles or performing, you know. I definitely don't oppose the idea of them adding back like the cruiserweight title. Cruiserweight title, I was like, okay, cool. I feel like if 205 is ran by triple, like if they do the cruiserweight champion division like how Triple H would do it, I'd be totally fine with that. The match between Dragon Lee and whatchamacallit, Alexander, what's his name?
Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander. I was when I seen that they were having a match, I was actually excited to watch the match because I knew in the booking of that match, it would not be how Vince would have booked the match. I knew it would
But
be how Vince would book the match. And I
you
watched the
know
match.
who I would love to see if they did create the 205 division. You know who I would love to see take control of that?
Who?
Bobby Roode. I've been
As
getting the
as
notifications
a
of it.
205 champion?
No, not as a champion. You know, he's a writer and producer now. He's
Okay, okay,
behind the scenes. But
okay.
I be getting notifications that the matches that he be putting together,
Yeah.
and I mean, it'd be some of the best matches that we've seen. So I would like for
Mm,
him to get a chance to do that. If not, bring back the original king of 205, William Regal. When he ran 205, it was lit. You know, that was
mm.
the era. That was the era right before Enzo took over. And that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
what's his name? What's the dude name? He
Uh,
was an older cat, and he had
yeah.
that black hair. You know what I'm talking about? Golly, his name on the tip of my
You
tongue.
talking about Pac?
What Pac who? No,
Pac.
not Pac.
Pac was you
No, not Pac.
talking
It
about a
was
person that
someone
ran,
else.
or a performer or a producer?
It was a performer. He was a performer. Little skinny guy, black hair, had a lot of earrings. He was an older cat though. I was surprised Vince gave him that long. I
Mustafa
can't
Ali?
think of that. Huh?
Mustafa
Nah,
Ali?
not
Because Mustafa
Mustafa.
Ali.
Not Mustafa.
Okay.
Nah, not Mustafa. It was something. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna put it in the group when I find it. But yeah,
Okay.
William Regal had him on a run, and he was on the older side, and people looking at him like, "What? They really gonna give him this much, time and shine?" And then,
Mhm.
that's when Enzo and Big Cass had just broken up, and they had all them people transferring from the main event to 205, and then also creating that 205 division. It'll open up for some of those wrestlers to come out of NXT as well. And
Yeah.
talking about that third hour, SmackDown will get that third hour when they move to USA, from my understanding. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a rumor or false, but it's supposed to be they supposed to get that third hour.
I think honestly they should definitely because I get it. I think they definitely should. Me personally, I always felt like they should have television title. Reason being is because that's the title that they can use to defend every television taping, and then and the television title, the television champion, can be a person who can go back and forth from Raw and SmackDown. One week he's on Raw, one week he's on SmackDown defending his title. Like they can book him in matches like that, or book whoever has the belt. But the other
Well,
thing, the other
you
thing
may
is,
not agree with me with this, but I think we've seen it before, and I don't think Triple H liked it, and
was
that's
that
why he scratched it as soon as he got creative control.
what?
The television title at the time. Shout out to my boy R Truth for the record, 24/7 title.
Yeah, it was trash. That was not a television title. That was a trash version of the hardcore championship. It was terrible. It was a terrible
it
title.
was
It was like,
it was an entertainment title. It wasn't a title where you looking at it like, oh, I'm gonna get a great match. It was for
yeah,
entertainment purposes. It wasn't no,
it was a waste
oh,
of
we
time.
finna see. It wasn't a waste of time because at that time, boy, that was the most funniest moments in WWE history.
It
Like
was,
seriously,
but
it was
again, when you had,
hilarious.
but yeah, but it was hilarious. But when you had, 15 minutes or 10 minutes of them running around with this daggone world title trying to pin somebody for it, because the title was, I mean, like nobody, that title was probably, if anything, it's like on the same level as the hardcore title, and it's like if you won that title, it was just like you just won the title. It was like it's nothing. It's like, yeah, like it's like being at a dinner and you'd be like, well, what titles have you won? I won the World Heavyweight Championship, the Intercontinental title, and then you'd be like, what titles you won? Oh, I only had the 24/7 title. Like like there's no like prestigious value in that title other than the fact that
But
beat
that's
some
what
title
that's
that
what made it the
everybody can win.
television title. It was just for entertainment. That's what made it
But
a
see,
television title.
but no,
It
no,
was
but no, no, no,
just
no,
for
no, no, no,
entertainment.
no, 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 no. So, but that's the thing about the television title, though. The television title, when you like in WCW, when a wrestler held the television title meant that you were a person who was must see. Like you're an up and coming talent. You're a person that's must see. You're a person that can potentially be a world champion or somebody, who can be a great United States champion, but a person who is in line for better prestige because you hold a television title, meaning because we're tuning in to watch the TV. So you having the television title is like that's the guy who we want to see on our TV while he wrestles. The 24/7
Now,
championship was just a belt they passed around because it was like, all right, these guys in the back locker room ain't doing nothing, sitting at catering. Let's give them something to do. Vince was like, you need. It's almost like Vince is like, it's like being at a job where you get a certain set of things to do and you do those things, and then you have all this spare time, that's on your on your day of working. But it's like if you don't do nothing in those 3 hours, you just sitting there until you punch out. Like Vince went in the back of the locker room, was like, listen, you guys are sitting back here, ain't doing nothing. You guys ain't wrestling. You guys are not doing dark matches. I'm going to create a title and I'm going to create some work for you because you're not working. You're just collecting money. And that's what the title felt like. Like it had
and
nothing
that
value
and
to it.
that may have been true, but it was so entertaining that people didn't even realize that's what it was. Like, don't get me wrong, I get where you come from, but our truth kept that belt relevant.
He did.
And it was like he had the most amazing run with no prestige to a title. How many guys can you say had an amazing run with a title with no prestige? One, our truth.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that has put on a show and brought prestige to a title with no amazing run. Even not that, no disrespect, but let's be honest. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens when they had the undisputed titles, their
Yeah.
run was only good for about a month, and that those titles held their prestige in that month. After that month, and after the feud died down with Jimmy and Jay, the prestige of those titles was taking a dive, and that's why Kevin Owens he said it in the most genuine way. He said, "Yo, I want to do something with those titles that's going to bring. He didn't say bring the prestige back, but he was like, I want to do something to do right by those titles. He knew those titles wasn't being used for prestige. He was just
Mhm.
holding on to. And I'm not saying it's their fault. It could be writer's fault. It could be a lot of people's fault in that situation. Even Triple H, that probably just a mistake Triple H made. But at the same token, nobody has made a run with a title and no prestige is being given to it, and you're enjoying it. You're literally watching it for a good laugh or watching it for entertainment. No, you was literally watching our truth for the entertainment. Like
All
it
right,
was it was just hilarious.
but check this out. Check this out. Check this out.
What's
Yeah,
up?
and I get it. I get it, but I feel like adding gold to that, it was like, eh. But check this out. So between 2019, right, and 2022, right, up until the belt was actually deactivated, there's been 202 holders of the title. Some of them, were people who held it multiple times. That person being the one who held it multiple times, who held it 53 times out of 202 title exchanges, was our truth. He held that belt 53 times. The title was a joke. And you know who comes in second as having the second most title reigns and actually the second longest title reign as our truth? Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke. It's crazy. I didn't even know Dana Brooke held the belt that many times, yo. 15 times she held the belt. So it's just like, it's like I, I I I get it. I get what you're saying because it adds entertainment value to the show as it being the show as being a sports and entertainment show. But at the same time, it's just like, oh, Trav got disconnected. At the same time, I just believe that when it comes to titles, it's like titles are given to champions because, you know, uh, titles are given to champions because um their ability of great in-ring performance. And don't get me wrong, I believe that, uh what's his name? R Truth is a great in-ring performer. Absolutely. The guy's a former NWA champion. Like that's prestige,
Right.
that's very prestigious. But on the other hand, it's just like it was like no, like I would never, I would like even the hardcore title was it was what it was, but at the same time, it was just like it was never titled to really like take serious. Like you couldn't take the title serious.
Yeah,
You know,
I follow you on that, but like I said, our truth should have held that belt 50 more times. It was only for entertainment. It wasn't to put nothing over on our truth. It wasn't to he had already solidified his career before he even took on that role. I think that just put the icing on his cake, showing you his range of performance, his range of acting, his range of being an entertainer. And I think that's what that 24/7 title did for him. I don't think it would have did nothing else for his career other than what it did already. But like I said, he don't have to bring that back. But we do need one or two more titles into WWE to make to just give other people a chance. The 205 title be dope, and then make up a title. Even if you do a television title, that's fine.
well, well
I'm cool with
let's explore that real quick before we move on to the next topic, right?
it.
To give
Okay.
other people a chance, right? And I get it. Like there are other performers who are great in the ring and definitely deserve a chance.
Right.
I do want to see like a TV title get added. I do want to see the tag titles split so that they can build the tag division a lot stronger. But
Right.
one thing that I think that we need to keep in mind is that just because we have good performers don't necessarily mean that we have good champions and that the titles should be given to certain, like I mean, like for instance, right? Like you have Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, Dragon Lee, and you have Chad Gable, right? You have all four, competitors, right? Out of
Mm-hmm.
out of all four competitors, the competitor that you would choose to have a title would either be, for me, my number one pick would be Chad Gable. Second would be Ricochet. Reason being I would choose Chad Gable is because Chad Gable is entertaining and he's great in the ring. The reason why I would choose Ricochet second is because he's great in the ring, but as far as his mic skills, is not that great, right? So
Right.
the thing about it is that when you have all these competitors, and we see, and again, don't get me wrong, all competitors are excellent in the ring, and they can go whenever given the opportunity. But it doesn't always mean that everybody should have a title just because they're great in the ring. It's just like there has to be something that again has to be like has to be shown as being distinguishable, as to be seen as a champion. Like you, it's just like, yeah, like we can have a bunch of titles and give everybody a title, because what Vince was doing at one point was he was just putting titles on everybody. Like new competitors come in, he'll put a title on them. They'll hold the belt for like 2-3 months. He'll take the title off of them. They'll never see the title again. That's what happened to Cesaro. Cesaro was amazing in the ring, but he wasn't great on the mic. And Vince just slapped the belt on him and was like, "Yeah, watch this guy." And it was like, "Yeah, all right." And then before we can really settle, when we start to settle into Cesaro, and we're like, "Yeah, this guy's actually pretty good." Vince takes the belt off of him. And then we start cheering for him, and we say, "Okay, Vince, you can put the belt back on him again. At least put United States title or IC title on him." Vince is like, I'm over it," and just kind of moved on because Vince kind of realized, like, yeah, he's great in the ring, but he's not great on the mic. And I think, and again, even though I felt like Cesaro did earn that right to actually have a title, which I thought was, because he was one of those guys, I think. There's still some guys that's just like, yeah, you're a great entertainer, you're a great performer, but as far as a champion, I don't know.
Well, let's take this. Let's look at that. How many guys right now have a title that
Mhm.
does not have great mic skills? I'm gonna start out by saying the entire Judgment Day. Nobody in
Uh,
the nobody in the Judgment Day has great mic skills. They got good mic skills. Nobody has
no, no, no,
great
no, no,
mic.
no, 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 no. Wait, no, 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 no. The person,
Who?
the Finn Balor has the best mic skills out of everybody in Judgment Day. Period.
Okay,
Hands
and
down.
that and
There's
okay,
no.
so what I like I said, everybody is pretty good, and he's above good. He's not great. He's above good, but
Yeah,
everybody in the Judgment Day doesn't have mic skills. Remember in the pandemic, Drew McIntyre carried the title, not great mic skills.
yeah. But you've seen the difference between Drew and Randy, even in the pandemic, and it was undeniable. Like you can tell, like even though there wasn't fans watching, it was
Right.
enough energy to feel and sense that, you know what, this is the reason why Randy Orton has been at the top.
I give
When
you another one. I give you
pandemic,
another one.
you've seen it, you've seen the difference.
I give you
But
another one. But his mic skills got better as he held on to the title. The longer he held on to the title.
who
Jinder
Drew McIntyre?
Mahal. No,
Uh-huh.
Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
Jinder Mahal, my skills was horrible when he first won the title. But as he kept doing it week after week, he
Mhm.
got a little bit better. He
He
got a
did.
little bit better. He got a little bit better. It wasn't great, but he got to the point where people was actually starting to like, okay, cool, I can listen to him on the mic now. He's always had a sense of urgency in the ring. It
Mhm.
just wasn't what we wanted to see.
Right.
But but his mic skills got better throughout time with him. So I think, with that being said, like I don't think you gotta have the best mic skills, because we can go back to Roman Reigns. Oh my
Mhm.
God, that guy mic skills was almost inevitable trash. And
Good.
as he
Yeah.
and as he then took on the tribal chief,
Yeah.
now we can't say too much. But there has been times where he's had that pipe bomb like drop on us about his mic skills. So I just think with the mic skills thing, I don't think you gotta have an A1. I think you just gotta be good enough to get over.
It's true.
And that's where I think LA Knight is succeeding at, is that he like you said earlier, he found a way how to magist 3 or 4 folks into one person,
Mhm.
and he's using it to an amazing rate and amazing knowledge, and it's truly a beautiful thing to see somebody take their talent level. But I think he'll be a better actor than he would gimmick
Mhm.
in the ring as far as his gimmick.
Yeah,
His acting skills is going to be off the charts. If he ever decides to leave for Hollywood, I guarantee you, it's not going to take him long to get a job. If
yeah.
we see 12 rounds, par seven, we might not see the Miz. We might see LA Knight. So because he can act, he can
Yeah.
really act. It's just like the Miz. The Miz can really act.
No, he
These
really can.
guys are
That's true.
actors.
Yeah.
They are actors. They are not. They're entertainer. They're doing their thing. But like I said, man, it's just I don't know, man. My skills are hearsay. I think it's all about what the fans like as far as your mic skills. Because we can all admit John Cena mic skills has always been pretty high on the arc because he used to rap. But there's been times where we looked at him like, nah, John Cena, that ain't it. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
you know, he loved. But what was the next topic? Because I gotta have a heart to heart with you anyway.
Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, next topic is CM Punk potentially. I'm sorry. Before I say this, this is gonna be the last topic because we are over the hour. So last topic, real quick, and then we're just gonna sign out. Um, CM Punk potentially showing up at Survivor Series.
Boy, would that make Henry day, week, hour, minute, second, point tenths of a second? It would enlighten his heart. But
What do
I,
you think? What do you think about him coming back? Actually,
here's my take. Here's my take, and I'm gonna make it short and sweet because I want to talk about something with you before we get off. I'm gonna
okay,
make this short and sweet.
okay,
I don't think CM Punk is going to do anything for WWE to the point where he comes back and people are over excited or over zealous or over like to the point where people are just going to be tremendously happy that he's back. I think
yeah,
yes, some fans would be happy because I don't think he's going to put that big of an impact as Henry would say asses to seats. I don't think he's going to have that impact no more because if you look at how WWE has today, it's sold out. It's a sold out arena. He would do that to Impact. He would do that to New Japan. He would do that to any other agency other than WWE and AEW. They
quick
got enough
question.
people in the seats.
Quick question.
What's up?
Do you think that the show in Chicago, Survivor Series, is sold out because people are expecting CM Punk to show up?
No, I think that show was sold out because of the fact that Survivor Series is a possibility of seeing Jay versus portions of the bloodline. One,
Mhm.
everybody
Really?
else. I think Chicago is always a city that's going to sell out because you got to think about it. If
Mhm.
you're not at a basketball game or a football game, you're out on the streets, and nobody want to be out on the streets of Chicago. So
Mhm.
I don't think that's sold out because of him. I mean, if you bought tickets to do that, then I believe you boo boo the food. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not buying
Mhm.
no tickets to see CM Punk. And it's not the same CM Punk we fell in love with. Understand this is a CM Punk that is older now. He's just not that same CM Punk that we fell in love with. The pipe bomb, it's just like okay, it's just like certain movies. You can't redo certain movies, and I think
Mhm.
that's where he lies at. He gave us an amazing performance, and I think he should leave his. I think he should leave his pipe bomb where he left it at, right there where he left it at. Don't mess with it. Go to New Japan, go to WWE, or keep being a commentator for the girls football team or something. But don't
Mhm.
mess up your legacy in WWE because your legacy in WWE is submitted. You don't have to do that. If you would have never won a title, you were already submitted as far as
Yeah.
legacy wise.
That's
Don't
true.
mess with that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like that. But what? So if he comes back, okay, cool. I think he might show up like Carlito did and then it might disappear, or like Nia Jax did, it may disappear for a little while until they might give him a 1 day contract or something like that, one show contract or something like that. But I don't see them bringing him on as no full time wrestler. That's me.
Yeah.
But
Um.
before we go, what you got? What you got
Yeah.
on it? What you got on it? What you think?
I'm really in between about CM Punk actually returning. I honestly feel that CM Punk has no desire to return. And I feel like it's a fight or flight situation for Punk. And I feel like it's a flight situation for Punk. Reason being because Triple H is the head of creative, and because CM Punk wants to stand by potentially being right about how he feels about Triple H and how he feels about how the company's being ran. He doesn't want to give that satisfaction of being under the reign
Wrong.
of Triple H. Even though the booking has been 10 times better, the matches, the booking, the matches, the show has been it's a dramatic difference. It's a complete difference. The energy is different, the booking is different, and CM Punk CM Punk knows just by watching Raw that if he goes to Raw, if he goes to SmackDown, if he goes there, he will be booked properly. But I agree. I think that he shouldn't mess with his legacy. I honestly feel like because CM Punk's heart is not in it, I think CM Punk should sit this one out. Um, if he, because again, his days are pretty much numbered. Like he's like 40 something years old. He's going on 50. He won a WWE title, won a WWE World Heavyweight Championship title, won an IC, won a United States, won a tag titles. Went to AEW, won the AEW World Championship on 3 separate occasions. It's just like, dude, you're a 3-time AEW champion. You're like I forgot how many times world champion you are in WWE. You're a Triple Crown champion in WWE. It's like, dude, and you had a great run, but it's like if he goes back to WWE, what else is there? What else is there for him to do? What, try to beat Roman Reigns, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see CM Punk come back and beat Roman Reigns. I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying?
We're,
Like
we're, we're on the same page with that one.
I felt like that ship has sailed. I felt like if CM Punk never went to AEW and would have went straight to WWE and came back to challenge Roman Reigns, I would have been like, yeah, give me that. But at this point, at this junction in his life, don't want to see it at all. I don't even want to see him beat Rollins. I would prefer him to, if he comes back, if he has a match with somebody, cool. Honestly, him coming back and having a match with anybody, I kind of don't care for it. Truth be told, but Punk is one of my favorite wrestlers. He's one of my favorites. But at this point in this junction, in his life, it's just like, why? It's like, dude, you done enough. Sit it out. If he wants to come back because he wants to do it and try to prove everybody wrong because he feel like he could show that he's still the best in the world, he still got it. Whatever, cool. And my opinion is, in my opinion, is going to be like, hey, whatever. It's not going to change that. You're out of time. Like, you're out of time. But
Right.
it's not going to change that for me. It's like, Punk, you're out of time at this point. But but yeah, that's just my take on it. What's the other thing you want to talk about?
All right. So with saying that, that's
Mhm.
all I'm want to know with Henry. About 2 weeks ago, you said on the show,
Yeah.
you said Travis need to step up. You can be in a fraction and have a solo run.
Mm.
So I wanted to touch on that before we got off the air.
Okay.
So my question to you is,
Mhm.
I got a couple questions.
Okay.
First question is,
Mhm.
who's in a fraction right now that is literally having a solo run
Who's in a faction that's having a solo run?
right now?
Roman Reigns,
Okay, okay,
Gunther, Rhea
okay,
Ripley, Dominic
okay,
Mysterio,
okay.
um, Jimmy Uso, uh,
Oh, okay.
Solo Sikoa.
Solo is having a solo run.
It's a solo run.
Okay, explain it. Explain it.
Um, you know what? To think about what you're saying,
See y'all later.
honestly,
Okay.
honestly, truth be told, truth be told, truth be told, truth be told. Um, it's a funny thing, but a solo run is pretty much when you're off on your own, right?
Okay.
So honestly, it's a tricky thing. The tricky thing is this: is that um, does Jimmy have a solo run? Yes, but no, he doesn't because he's with a faction, right? It's a yes or no thing. He's not
Okay.
part of a tag team, so he is a solo competitor. He has a solo run because of the simple fact that he's a solo competitor who has tag matches and has solo matches. His match tonight against LA Knight was a solo match. No bloodline came out to interfere or interrupt. It was a solo match. That again is part of his solo run. The faction part is to be an insurance to you as a solo competitor. That's what the faction is, right? He's an individual competitor. Again, Ric Flair, he had the Four Horsemen, but he was a solo competitor.
Okay. So here's my argument to you.
Okay.
Everybody you named outside of Solo and Jimmy, what do they have in comparison? What do they all have that everybody that you named that's in the friction
Fact,
that you named, what do they have in comparison?
they were all in the faction.
It's another one. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
They all hold gold.
Okay.
Now, here's my argument with you on that. When you're in a fraction, right?
Mhm.
You're in a group, right?
Yeah.
You can have a solo run inside of a group. But 90% of the time, 99% of the time, when you're doing a solo run inside of a fraction, what are you doing? You're fighting for what? Gold, right?
Yeah.
Or you're putting yourself in position to get a singles gold, right? Or
Right.
if you got a tag team partner, you're putting yourself in tag team position gold.
Right. Right.
Reason why I don't give Jimmy or Solo as far as a solo run, I think
Mhm.
they have solo matches, but not solo runs. And the reason why I'm not giving that to them is because of the fact that they're operating inside of a fraction that is no longer put solely together and based off what they can do. They are basically there. So me personally, I think what they're doing is what exactly what I told y'all is that nobody wanted to see Jimmy in solo competition for 6 months. I told y'all that. Go back
Yeah.
and look at the film. They basically are putting Jimmy on the tip of the circle and letting him hold on to that part to stay relevant. Because me and Jay had a conversation earlier. If
Right.
you go back, Jimmy has only had 3 matches since the turn of solo, and that's including tonight's match. 3 matches as a solo competitor. That's
Mhm.
not solo competitor. That's not solo competition. We
Mhm.
can't say solo competition. You can think about it. Dominique has had more solo runs than Jimmy.
Yeah.
Bria has had more solo competition. I
Yeah.
understand that you can be solo and you can get help from a fraction, but you cannot say you're a solo competitor when basically 90% of your matches is with someone.
Okay. What about Jay Uso?
Jay Uso became a solo competitor because of the fact of Jimmy's injury. If he didn't have that run when Jimmy was out, I would have the same argument that I'm having with you right now that he's not a
Wait. Wait. Wait.
solo competitor.
But okay. But you can't say okay. But that's like equivalent to saying that Jimmy and Jay Uso was in a tag team for like 10 years, right? They
Right,
split up. They split up.
right,
Jay goes on his own. He
right.
had one-on-one matches for like 3 weeks, and you say that he's not a solo competitor because in his third week he had more matches as a tag team than he
No,
did
no,
as
no,
a
no, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
okay.
this. How many times have we seen Jay hold his own to put himself in position for a title?
Multiple times.
Multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say right now with Jimmy's run that he's had, would you put him in the title picture?
In the title picture, not
In
really. No,
any
no.
okay, with Jim, that's Jimmy or Jay? Did I
Uh,
say Jimmy or Jay?
Jimmy's with the Bloodline. Jay is on Raw.
No, I said, who did I say, Jimmy or Jay? I don't remember what I said.
You said Jimmy.
Okay, so now looking at Jay run by
Uh-huh.
himself,
Yeah,
would you put him in a title picture against someone?
absolutely.
So you're on my side, but you're not on my side. And what
You
I
know
mean
what?
by that is,
Honestly, truth be told, I actually do agree with you because it's true. It's the truth because it's a group. It's a group. When you say group, I was like, and as I was thinking about it, I was like, you know what? You're right. Jimmy is not really on a. He's not on a solo run. He's in a group. He's in a faction. It's
he's
a
in the.
group. It's a
It's a
group.
fraction, and it's not saying that he can't be on a solo run in the fraction. It's saying that he's not being pushed as a solo artist inside the fraction.
That's not true.
He's
He had a solo
he's
match.
not being pushed. He had a solo match tonight because Roman told him to go take care of LA Knight. Right?
He,
It wasn't like the new GM of SmackDown said, "Hey, I'm putting you in a singles competition against LA Knight." No, it was something that they built up for Roman to take charge of. When
well,
you see Jay now, and Jay getting these solo competitions, it's because Adam Pearce be like, "Hey, I see you and Gunther having a great match tonight, so I'm gonna book y'all."
see, see, I can't because with that point, again, like that can also be applied to Roman. Like Roman is the universal, he's a unified. I'm sorry, undisputed champion. He's the undisputed champion, and he hasn't had a title defense since who was the last
Okay,
person he defended his title against? I forgot
That
the
that
last
is
person.
that is
Right.
absolutely true. It was
Again,
Jay.
right.
But
And
but
now
on the
and
flip side,
yeah.
on the flip side, look at what he did before Jay got his butt kicked and joined the bloodline. Look at what he
Right.
did before that. He
But
was on it. He solidified his solo run, and he just brought in guys to take his back. Look at Gunther.
that doesn't mean you're on a solo run. Like the fact that you have championship gold as a singles competitor, and the fact that like that's let me not say that doesn't solidify, but that's not the indicator that you're on a solo run. The indicator that you're on a solo run
No,
is
it's
that
not.
you're not is that you're
It's
not
not
part of a tag team.
right.
That's really what
But
because that's the
but
reason why I said I was in between because I was like, yeah, you could be a solo competitor, but you could be in a group in a faction because you're competing as a solo competitor to defend a world championship, an intercontinental championship, a United States, which is a solo title. So
right.
what makes it tricky is the fact that even though you are a solo competitor, you have a group or a faction behind you. So again, you are
So
still a singles competitor. So that's why I said I agree, but I kind of but
and you kind of
it,
disagree. I get it, but what I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah,
is singles competitor, and solo is two. Let's verify. Singles competition and solo competition is two totally different things. And the
okay,
reason why I say that is because solo competition is when you walking out there like LA Knight did tonight. When you walk out there like Cody Rhodes. When you
mm-hmm,
stand on your own when you stand on your own 10 toes and
mm-hmm,
you get your wins that way. That is a solo run. A
okay,
singles competition run is when you're a single competitor like Jimmy is now
mm-hmm,
inside of a friction. You're by yourself. You're single, meaning that you're one person, but at any moment Roman can come out and help you, Jay can come out and help you, the bloodline Judgment Day can come out and help you. So when you say
yeah,
solo means like you was when the show started. You were solo. There was
mm-hmm,
nobody here.
yeah,
And I wasn't gonna jump on the show up until about 10 minutes left on the show to talk about this. But when I saw you solo, I was like, let me jump on.
mm-hmm.
So you was on a solo run by yourself until I jumped on.
Okay, I was right,
Now, when I jumped on, you're still on a singles run, but you got a running mate now.
mm-hmm,
So that's why I say it's a difference in solo and singles.
mm-hmm.
Jimmy is not on a solo run. He's a single competitor, yes, but he's not on a solo run.
Okay,
Jay is on a solo run because guess what? Jay is really walking out there by himself every night, and then because the numbers game is against him, they're having Cody to back him up because Cody brought him over.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, when I said that, I still stand on what I said is that Jimmy is not going to have a successful solo run. Why? Because nobody wants to see Jimmy for 6 months until we get to see him with his brother. So therefore, they putting him as a singles run and keeping the Bloodline, the Judgment Day, and every other heel behind him to keep him on the island of relevancy. Because without them, I don't think Jimmy would be on the island of relevancy. He's the best to do the tag team title. He's the absolutely best to do tag team with his brother. But when we talk about single and solo runs, he's not. He doesn't have that it factor. It's like as bad as we don't like LA Knight, as bad as we don't like LA Knight,
I
LA
I,
Knight has that it factor. He
I
has
can't
that it factor.
I can't listen. The only thing that makes LA Knight have an it factor is the fact that he's completely copying somebody else.
And
That
that's
to
what
me,
that's what I
that
mean.
to me, and I agree. It's like I kind of agree, but I don't agree. Not necessarily that I don't. Not that I'm disagreeing with you. It's just that just looking at the facts of what you stated, right? Or just
Right.
looking at the points in which you stated. Now, I'm just analyzing the point. The point that you made concerning LA Knight is that as far as LA Knight having an it factor, I mean, truth be told, but I understand what you're saying. But I would have used somebody else besides LA Knight, but because LA Knight to me doesn't really have an it factor because he's not original. So to me, it's like that's not you just copied somebody else, and now
Well,
everybody's
okay, so
chanting.
let me stop you right
But
there. When
but
I
but let,
say
but,
it
let,
factor,
but let me just say this real
okay,
quick.
okay, go ahead.
Jimmy, on the other hand, I would definitely not say he doesn't have the it factor. Jimmy does have the it factor. The reason why I say Jimmy does is because that tag team was successful. They've been successful for like 2 decades or a decade and a
True,
half
true.
because of their collective creativity. Jimmy has charisma. Jay has charisma. Like when I was watching SmackDown tonight. I was laughing because he came in there. He was like, talking about he was injured, and he was like, "Yo, I'm on the injured reserve list." And Roman was like, "What do you mean injured reserve?" Like I'm sitting there like, "Okay." He's like injured reserve. He's like, "What happened to me this night? What happened to me tonight? I can't go out there and wrestle." And then after him and Roman had the conversation, he was like, "Yeet." And then Rome was like, "Don't say that. I don't
Yeah,
like that." You know what I
and
mean?
that's
So
yeah,
he
that's
he
funny.
does, but Jimmy's just being used in this position as being somewhat of a jobber for the bloodline.
Okay,
I honestly believe that if they put Jimmy on a solo run and they book Jimmy Strong, you would see it. Like it'd be
I
a no
would,
brainer.
I would totally agree with you. I'm in total agreement with that. But I'm gonna tell you why he doesn't have the X factor, right?
Okay.
Since he came out the night after he turned on his brother, the week
Right.
after he turned on his brother, and he
Yeah.
said, "I didn't want you to end up like Roman."
Right.
And a week later, go say he never kicked me out the bloodline, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
This is why Jimmy don't have the it factor. Since that moment that he said, "I'm back in," how
Mhm.
many times have you literally turned on the TV for Friday Night SmackDown to see what Jimmy was going to do? Don't worry, I'll
No,
wait.
I haven't. I haven't.
Ex-
I haven't.
ex-
I haven't really.
exactly, exactly, and that's my point. He does not have the it factor. From the moment Jay, from the moment Jay said, "I quit WWE," we all was tuning into each show to see when Jay was coming back, right or wrong.
Right.
Or was he? We was all interested in what he was going to do, right?
Right.
So that's why I say Jimmy doesn't have the it factor. Because when you have an it factor, people are tuning in to see you. People are tuning in to see what your next move is going to be. People are
Yeah.
tuning in to see what's going to happen with you. So when I say that with no disrespect to Jimmy, but
Mhm.
nobody is paying attention to Jimmy. And it's not Jimmy's fault. It's not his fault. It's the fact that you have a twin brother
Mhm.
that outshined you when you were out of commission. and we fell in love with Jay Uso while you was out of commission. But
Yeah.
Jay took it to a whole nother level that we didn't think he had in him.
However,
And
I have to.
now,
However,
hold on, one
okay.
second. And
Hmm.
now it's just like our music artists. You know, there's a
Hmm.
lot of. I'm gonna name one. You remember Bone Crusher?
Hmm.
And he came out, so I'm outside of the club. You remember that song?
Yeah,
That
I ain't
was
never
his
scared.
peak. That was his
Yeah.
peak. Yeah, I ain't never scared. That was his peak. So now Jay has set that peak up so high that Jimmy can't reach it unless they write him in the proper way. And they're not going to do that because they don't need Jimmy wrote in the proper way because of the fact that Jimmy has already solidified that space. So he can't be the it factor if I'm not. He's not the it factor if we're not tuning in to see his next move.
See that portion right there, I agree with. However, see that portion I agree with. Yes, Jay has been pushed to a point where he set a peak that Jimmy has to now catch up to. That's true. But the point I'm making is that it can be obtained, but that Jimmy has the it factor to obtain it. Because the whole point, because when we talk about it factor means, does this person have the ability to be a main eventer? Does this person have the ability for people to tune in and want to watch and be intrigued by them? I believe Jimmy has that because Jimmy was doing it with his brother. Like there's a bunch of tag teams that come on WWE. You know what I'm saying? Like we were talking about this last week about and Henry was saying that they felt like they were getting stale with their gimmick and that they needed something else. But here it is, the Usos, they've been running the same gimmick for like 10 years and it didn't get stale at all. And again, it's part of their booking. But but I'll say this about Jimmy. This is how you know Jimmy got the it factor, and I'll prove it to you. When Jimmy was out and Jay
Okay.
was main event Uso, right?
Okay.
And he had his little feud with Roman, and he decided, and he agreed to join forces with the Bloodline and to join with Roman and start the Bloodline, right?
Right.
When Jimmy came back, everybody was on 10 when Jimmy came back. Everybody was hyped for Jimmy. You know why? Because when Jimmy came in, Jimmy said, "I ain't nobody's bitch." That
Okay.
trended.
Now,
It was
wait.
trending. It was trending
Let me.
for a month.
I'm glad you brought that up. When he came back with that phrase, that was his it factor.
Everybody was loving it.
Everybody was loving it. You are absolutely right. I'm not disagreeing with that. But once he got rid of that, he was no it factor. Because you got to think about it. Everybody, for me, and I'm sure some people is like this.
Mhm.
It's just like basketball. You tune in for the superstars.
Yeah,
They are the it factors.
yeah,
When you're tuning in to watch somebody to see their next move, what they're gonna do next, how they're gonna perform this, what they're gonna do this and that, you are the it factor.
hmm
But Jimmy is not getting that shine right now. It's no disrespect to Jimmy. It's
yeah,
booking one. It's the fact that for whatever dumb reason they threw him back with the bloodline too, and he's the one that actually started the turn. That's what people forget. That Jimmy is the first one to turn on Roman.
Right.
And he's right back with Roman. And then he give this poor, sad excuse about turning on his brother. He didn't want him to end up like Roman, and you back with Roman. So
Yeah,
when I tell you his it factor, he's not on a solo run. He's just not it right now. He's hanging on, as Paul Heyman would say,
mm,
you're hanging on to be on the island of relevancy. The
mhm,
minute they pull Jimmy Uso off the bloodline, he
mm,
will no longer be relevant. But I think Triple H has too much respect for Jimmy to just let him fall. So therefore, he's keeping him in that circle of relevancy. I don't see no other way to book Jimmy. There's no way right now to
I,
book Jimmy.
I tell you what. I tell you what. If Jimmy would have portrayed Jay, right,
Okay. Okay.
and let's say we go back to the night where Jimmy portrayed Jay,
Right,
and Jay stayed out of action for a month
right,
or even 2 months, right? And we don't see Jay
right,
at all. And then
right,
I'm sorry, we don't see Jimmy at all. And then Jay runs his feud with Roman. Everybody's going crazy for Jay because Jay gets his rematch because Jimmy betrays him. But then it's like we don't see Jimmy no more. Jay gets a rematch. So let's say Solo Sikoa is the second person that interrupts in the match, and then all of a sudden Jay gets drafted to Raw. We don't see Jimmy. Jimmy pops up. Everybody's going to be cheering for him because everybody's going to be cheering or everybody's going to be tuning in to find out why did you do what you did because he held on to that moment, right? And I
right.
say that to say this um is that the it factor because I said because in that moment because what I just described to you was to you as you're describing it is an it factor is the fact that you have it to obtain the attention of people or you have that star quality or that power to do so, right?
Right.
But when I but that's really but that's part of the it factor. That's what the it that's the production of the it factor. But the it
Okay.
factor is the person who can do it at will. They can do it at will. It's like, you know what? No, there's something about this guy. There's something about him that makes me want to watch more, want to watch more. And not only do you see it, but you know that the potential's there, right?
So
Um,
let me ask you: is
it,
that
it,
is that a thing that you have in your mind that when you watch Jimmy, you be like, oh, I want to watch him because I see it, I see it, I can see him doing it. So when you tune into SmackDown every
right.
week, is that in your mind where you're like, man, I see it, I see he can go above and beyond that it factor. I see it.
Truth be told, yes. But
You do.
however, to really credit your point, because of the writing, he needs vindication past that lousy excuse for why he portrayed his brother. But I'll say this though. I'll say this. When I think about it factor, let's take Jeff Jarrett and Triple H. Let's compare the two, right?
Okay.
Jeff Jarrett booked himself as being a top heel. No, sorry. Jeff Jarrett goes over to WCW. He talks to Bischoff and say, "Hey, book me as a top heel. I want to be world champion. This is why I signed this contract. This is why I'm here." Eric Bischoff does that. Nobody cares. Jeff Jarrett wins the title. Nobody cares. Jeff Jarrett's a top heel. Nobody cares. Jeff Jarrett is the leader of the new NWO. Nobody cares, right? Jeff Jarrett goes, he starts TNA. Everybody's interested because Jeff Jarrett started TNA with another promotion or other performers. Jeff Jarrett books himself to wins the NWA title. Everybody's like, okay. He goes on numerous multiple title runs after his third title run, this lengthy third title run. Nobody cares. It starts the promotion falls flat because the person or the main guy who's at the top of the mountain is a person who does not have the it factor. No matter how many times or how hard he tries to push himself down the throats of the wrestling fans, no one ever really respected Jeff Jarrett as a top heel. He was a top heel. He is a big heel, but I don't mean respected as a top heel like we don't respect him as a performer or as a heel, but when we talk about elite heels, it's like, yo, bro, even though you did this and even though you did that, we don't care because you don't have it. You're not into you don't have it. You're not it. And um and to say this last thing is that again, it's like it factor. Triple H. Triple H gets booked as a top heel. We want to see what else he's going to do. Wow, what else is he going to do? What else is going? Even when he had the reign of terror, even when the man had the reign of terror, the people he was beating, you was like, yo, who else is this guy going to beat? Who else is he going to beat? And then even after he loses the titles, he creates superstars and losing the titles. So there was something to gain out of his appearance versus Jeff Jarrett. And again, that's the it factor. It was like when he was there, something was happening. Like Benoit was made a bigger superstar. Benoit, Goldberg, Randy Orton, Batista, like these are people, Shelton Benjamin, like these are people when he was a heel, you know what I'm saying? His feud with Shawn, like I could name so many people that Triple H feud with that in them feuding with this guy, like these people stars increased like because of just Triple H himself. You know what I'm saying? His performance, not just him. They were great stars already because they already had the it factors already. Truth be told, But again, it was that that Triple H contributed to them continually shining as the stars. And
I,
again, that's the difference between it factors. A person who has it, you know, Jeff Jarrett doesn't
and
have it,
I
but
get
Jimmy
that,
has it.
and you made a great comparison. But here's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Mhm.
We can both agree they wrote Jay a hell of a script when his brother went down, right?
Yeah,
We can both agree they wrote Jimmy a terrible script of why he turned on his brother, right?
absolutely.
We can both agree that Jay took his island of relevancy to a whole new level, right?
True. I can agree.
We can both agree that Jimmy is trying to find a way how to take his to the next level, right?
Right.
He's trying to find it.
Right.
Okay,
I can agree. I
so
can agree. I can agree. Even though I believe that his means of trying to stay relevant is with the bloodline, but
okay,
nonetheless,
that's fine. Okay,
like what
so
as you
with
stated, what Paul Heyman said, right?
with exactly, but with me saying those things is me saying this. Jimmy is a great competitor, regardless
Uh-huh.
of how I look at him right now.
Right.
But there's what you call booking, performing, selling, and writing, and actually being it. Right?
Okay.
If you think about it, let's go back a little bit. When Enzo and Big Cass came up,
Yeah.
right? That the booking was perfect, the writing was perfect, the selling was perfect, being that it factor tag team was perfect, right?
Yeah.
I don't think did they ever win a tag team title? I don't even think they ever
No,
held it.
no, no.
But they were so relevant that they didn't even need a title. People didn't care. It's just like right now, if LA Knight loses to Roman, nobody's gonna care. He's still gonna be a top seller in WWE. But what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to, and I'm gonna make this short and sweet, is that Jimmy and Jay. The problem with Jimmy is when you compare Jimmy or when you look at Jimmy, you're looking at Jay. When you look at Jay resume is impeccable. Jimmy resume is good. It's good. That's all it is. It's good. And that's the problem that people are having a hard time accepting is the fact that when you look at Jay, you have to look at this impeccable resume, but Jimmy doesn't have the same thing because he got hurt.
Hmm.
And then when you look at that, we can honestly say right now Jay is operating at the top of his peak, at his peak level.
Hmm.
Jimmy is still trying to get there
Hmm.
or find a way to get there.
Hmm.
No disrespect to Jimmy. I love Jimmy, but I want him to be as a tag team with whoever because he's just separated from his brother. Now, that's not to go and say, oh, they can't rewrite Jimmy and make it better for him. They can at any moment. You can turn the page on Jimmy and make it a lot better than what it is now.
Right.
But they not doing it right now. They're fine with him holding on to the island of relevancy right now because there's nothing else to do with him right now. Because you still got Roman in the light. You gotta understand something. When Jimmy joined the bloodline, it was not because they needed him in the bloodline. It was because it only made it was only and they didn't need him in the bloodline. Let's not
They
put it
did.
like they need
They
him.
did.
Because
They did.
Jay and Roman had a lot of success without Jimmy. Let's be real now.
They had a
They
lot of success in their feud, but Jimmy was definitely a needed piece. And the reason
I
why I
mean,
say that was because that's how they captured those tag titles, and
no, not a
that's what
piece.
helped.
Well, when I say needed, I don't mean like not like a piece. I mean like if you would have put Jimmy in there, okay. If you wouldn't have put Jimmy in there, okay. That's when I say needed. So
Nah,
yeah,
nah,
he was
nah,
a needed
nah,
piece.
nah, nah, bro. I can't. Nah.
So you may not agree with that. Okay, that's cool. That's my opinion. But
Yeah,
it's the simple fact that Jimmy is working his way up. I love what he's doing. I love where he's going with it, and he's got to work at it. But the problem is, your brother has already hit peak. Your brother has already set the bar, and in order for him to reach that bar, he has to be rewritten. Right now, he's on a heel slash our truth type of movement. He's trying to be funny. Like you said tonight, it was hilarious when he was like, "Yeah, I'm injured, bro. I'm on the injured reserve." And then he was like, "Nah, I'm off the injured reserve." That was hilarious.
yeah,
But it's not it's not putting him as that it factor. Like I don't tune in to watch SmackDown to see him. I don't tune in to watch SmackDown to see, but I'm tuning in to Raw to see what Jay gonna do. Jay, Cody Rhodes. I'm tuning in to see what them boys gonna do. You know, but I'm not tuning in to Raw to see him right now. I'm tuning in for SmackDown for Roman and John Cena.
yeah,
Because I told you guys they didn't want to see that. So what did they do? The minute Roman Reigns went out, they brought John Cena in because they knew Jimmy was not going to hold that show down the way they wanted held down, and that's the reason why they put him back with the Bloodline because nobody wanted to see Jimmy run a show by himself or even try to hold up a show by himself. If you think about it, almost every big name they done brought back since Roman took that hiatus a few months ago, they've been straight to SmackDown. They visit Raw, they going straight to SmackDown. They moved Kevin Owens to SmackDown. Why? Because they needed more star power. They needed more solo run and single competitors over on SmackDown. So they moved KO over to SmackDown. It's to fill that void that Jay left. It's because they feel like Jimmy can't do it. And I'm gonna tell you why I said it. It's because every article I come across
yeah,
about the Usos, they always like, man, front office, da da this is loving Jay solo run. Da
yeah,
da this, da da that. It's never said. I've never seen that one article say, man, the front office loves Jimmy Uso solo run. So that's why I say Jimmy is a great tag team competitor. Singles competitor, he's good.
mhm,
Solo competitor is non-existent right now. It doesn't exist. And then you got to think about it too, though. TKO, the new group that took over WWE, they
mhm,
they gave they did give Triple H the green light, but they also going to take into account, we're not going to be putting so much bad product out there to the point where we can't maintain it.
mhm,
We want the product to get better, and that's why the CEO of TKO told Vince, you out of creative control. We
mhm.
seen what you do, creative control. And going to that, you do know CM Punk did work with TKO before, right?
When he was in UFC,
Yeah, when he had that short run with UFC.
terrible.
So
Yeah.
that's another reason why he may and may not come back because if TKO don't want you, they're gonna get rid of you. It's just
Yeah.
like people really think it was just WWE front office that got rid of Matt Riddle. It wasn't just WWE saying
Mm,
they're tired.
mm. Oh,
TKO didn't
TKO.
want him. TKO didn't want him in the first place because if you looked at that story that I posted in the group
Mhm,
about what Dana White said about Matt Riddle, that was a key part in it. So TKO do have a lot of say so in this whole thing about everything that's going on. But back to
I forgot what Dana White said about Matt Riddle.
Riddle.
What did he say?
So basically what he said was he told them that he don't smoke weed or he don't do drugs so he won't beat his wife and kids. Had a match. After the match, took a drug test and failed it.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
but back to Jimmy. Jimmy is if they book him right, if they just book him right, I promise you, I'm not a man like Henry, scared to eat my words. I would
Mhm.
eat my words if I'm wrong. Right now, I have a solid 2-0 lead on Henry. He's not going to admit it. And I know when he see this, he go, I won 2-1. I won 2-1. That's why you see me get out of the group. Because I'm like, why am I arguing with this guy? I know I won. Jimmy is not on a solo run, and CM Punk is not. I did say, and I want people to understand, when you go back and look at the debate at the beginning of the Punk topic, I did say he may go to Impact or New Japan, but not WWE or AEW. So until he reports that WWE, Henry, you're still down 0-1 on that situation. Henry, you're down 0-1 on the Jimmy situation because Jimmy is not on a solo run. He's on a singles competitive run inside of a fraction. And
Well,
inside of that fraction, he's doing a decent job. Not a
all right.
great job.
All right. So we got to wrap up. But before
Yes,
we
sir.
wrap up, the big question is when are you guys doing Let Me Talk to You so you guys can hash
I mean, I told him Saturdays would be good for me. Anytime, let me know in advance. Anytime on Saturdays is good for me. As long as I
Okay.
ain't got nothing going on, I'm good to go. Fridays will be a stretch unless we do it like around by the time you started this.
Yeah.
Cause I want to be in the house. I want to be sitting down with my. I'm gonna go buy me some titles so I can walk around with my Armani suit and my titles and look like Henry. Just because I'm undefeated. But
Yeah.
no, anytime on Saturdays, man, we good. Or if we got a pre-record, we can do that.
Okay. All right. So you guys set up a time. Let me know. And you guys can get down to business so you guys can hash these discussions out. But our time is up, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys are joining us for Wrestling Talks and Thoughts, I am your host, Saheem the Dream, along here with my co-host, Trav. Again, if you guys are catching this replay, give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, give us a like, share on your page so that your wrestling buddies can get in on a conversation and talk wrestling along with us. We want to hear you guys' thoughts. We want to know what you guys think about these topics. CM Punk potentially turning to WWE, Jimmy's solo run, LA Knight as a superstar. Just we want to know what you guys think about what's going on in wrestling right now, these hot topics. And yeah, hit us back. I am signing off for the rest of the night. Host Saheem the Dream.
And your boy Travis, the undisputed champ.
We'll see you guys later.
All
Peace.
right, peace.